Hello! Was that too loud? Hello. Welcome to Power Up with Pride. I am very excited to be kicking off the first run of the event. Not only because I love this event and I love to be a part of it, especially like this, but also because this game is really cool and it has cats, which are the only two things you really need. So this is Momodora Reverie under the Moonlight. It is a Metroidvania released by Bomb Service in 2016. It's actually the fourth in a series of games. But it's like the most popular one of the whole series. And the category name is kind of funny. So to fix that, I will explain it as we get into the run. I'm going to be doing it on normal difficulty because it's just my favorite one to run on. But with that being said, I am all ready to begin. So we can start the run and the event off in 3, 2, 1, go. So when it comes to running this game, there are two major categories. The first one is any percent, and the second one is AVIB. I'm running AVIB because it was accepted, I guess. Yeah, I am. Okay. I had to make sure I was remembering that right. Which means we're going to be getting a lot of collectibles. Before I get into those collectibles, I'll talk a little bit about the movement. You can see me spamming this roll everywhere. It's at the beginning of the game, the fastest form of movement that we have. And if I press roll and jump on the same frame, I can do what's called a roll jump, where I gain height while keeping roll movement speed. It's insanely good for just optimizing how you move through areas like this, the Grove. And I'm going to take that safety save by hitting that bell. I don't usually take that, but it's a marathon, and I have died in this area in marathons before, so just being safe. See, that's what happens when you don't jump roll. I'm usually better at jump rolls than that. But getting into the category, because we will be getting some collectibles in this area. The A stands for all, and then VIB, all are different collectibles or secrets that are in this game. The V stands for Vitality Fragments, which are 17 health upgrades scattered throughout the game. So as we get further in the run, I'm going to get more and more health, and it's going to become harder and harder for me to die. It's not going to become impossible, because as you just saw a little bit ago, spikes are insta-kill, so they will always be a problem for the whole runtime of the game. But it'll be a lot helpful for just surviving levels. Bosses are a whole different thing. We'll get into that in a little bit. The I stands for Ivory Bugs. There's one right here. Ivory Bugs are this collectible that are involved in the side quest that comes out, where you can get a bunch of these cool items by giving the bugs to this rabbit girl. For the sake of the run, because this is more key item collection than actual item collection, I don't need to hand in the Ivory Bugs. All I need to do is collect all 20 of them in the game. And the B stands for bosses. There's an optional boss in this game that this run requires you fight, and I will be showing that off. With that being said, I'm almost near the end of the Grove. I've been collecting a little bit of money, as you can see, throughout the first area here. I want 80 money, and the currency is called money, kind of like, I believe, Kingdom Hearts also does that. But I have 85, which is more than enough, and I'm going to get into the first boss fight. So when coming to the health thing that I mentioned earlier and how bosses are a whole different beast, there's a lot of items in this game that you have to get by beating bosses without taking any damage at all. Almost every boss fight in this game, I have to do flawlessly if I want the run to go well. So as you saw there, when I got hit by Adea, I just opted to reset the game and start over from the beginning of the fight. Adea is a pretty simple boss here. Her main gimmick is that her tail is kind of a weak point. So whenever I can, I'm trying to hit the tail with arrows. So that way it does a lot of damage. And that's the first boss. There is a quick kill you can do there. I saw some people point it out in chat. It is kind of difficult. Even there's a strat where you can buffer the quick kill to make it pretty consistent. It's still hard. So I decided to play it as safe as I could there. So the item I got there is called Adea's Pearl. And I can buy another item here called the Crystal Seed with the money I got. What those two items do is the Crystal Seed is a temporary 50% attack boost, and the Adea's Pearl is a permanent poison effect on my arrows. The reason one of them's temporary and one of them's permanent is because there's two types of items in this game. One of them is active items, which you actively have to consume to use. And one of them is passive items, which means as long as they're equipped, their effect works. And while Crystal Seed is active, Adea's Pearl is passive. So it makes shooting arrows at the beginning of the run really good. I'm going to go take this safety save before the second boss coming up because this boss is insanely mean. Gonna make sure my arrow charge is at full, and we're gonna get into the fight with Mocha. So there were these enemies all in the grove, the first area, that were just these really mean imps that would jump around with random patterns. Mocha does the exact same thing. The movement pattern of this guy and like where he jumps and how far forward or backwards he jumps is complete random. And it can be very mean a lot of the time. Once his health gets to a certain point, he'll stop jumping and start wiggling like you see right now. That means we're about to get to the second phase of the fight where the floor breaks from below us and we get to fight Lubella. Lubella is very annoying, however, you usually don't get hit here, so I hopefully will be good to get the item that I want from this fight. The main thing you have to watch out for with Lubella is that she has this attack called a dive, which at this point I don't think is going to matter if we see it or not. It does not. Basically, she can just go below the screen for 12 seconds, and we can't hit her at all in that time. If we manage to poison her with an Adea's Pearl arrow before she goes under, she will take poison damage while down there, but you really just can't touch her for 12 seconds, and it is very annoying. Fortunately, that didn't happen, and I didn't take damage, so I have the Bachman patch now, which is the first really good attack item that I'm going to get in the run. You're going to see it in use here against this mini-boss. I'm going to pray like this, and then squares fall from the sky. And hey, that mini-boss doesn't exist anymore. So at this point, what I need to do is not only get all the collectibles, but also get these 4 fragments. Once game find open, and instead of being linear in which direction you have to go, you now can pick 4 different areas to go in whatever order you want. So the first area that I'm opting to go to is all the way in this direction. We're going to talk to this character, and he is going to tell us to go meet someone inside the monastery that's right behind him. We're going to go into the monastery right now, but we're not going to do what he just told us. We'll save that for later. So this is the Forlorn Monastery. And once we get in here, we're going to get another bell. These bells are important because soon enough, we're going to get an ability to warp between bells. And it's certain bells in certain areas are where you can warp. So it's really important to go to specific screens so that you can warp later in the run and save a lot of backtracking time. But below the Forlorn Monastery here is the Cinder Chambers, which is the first major area I want to go to. And the immediate first thing we want to do is make our way down to the boss fight, which I'm almost at. So I hit that save point because this upcoming boss is a real not nice person. And here we go. So this is the Arsonist. I guess I should explain something you may have been seeing, and that is there's going to be these lasers coming from the sky. So items in this game, consumable items work in this game where they have a set amount that you can hold at once, and then every save point you get, it restores the amount that you can use back to that number. There's a secret item called the Fairy, where if you do the first half of the Konami code, up, up, down, down, left, right, it summons that fairy just to shoot lasers from the sky at random points on the screen. And it's pretty good for damage if a laser hits. So I use that a lot in boss fights. The Arsonist is almost dead. Is dead. Good. That fight is really scary. Unfortunately, I was running away, so Kath here is going to take a long time to run to me, and then I have to go to the right side of the screen once the fight's over, or once the dialogue's over, so I'm wasting a little bit of time. But I beat her without taking damage the first try. Basically, you might have seen it, but every time that boss is off screen, she'll try and do this move where she teleports to you, and it's extremely dangerous because she leaves a trail of fire behind her. And it's not fun. Fortunately, I beat the boss, and I have the first crest fragment that I need to open the last area in the game. All 4 of the crest fragments give you a special ability. This one gives me this mid-air dash attack, and it is extremely good for movement. So now my preferred movement option is going to be to do a jump roll, a roll jump, and then just do the mid-air dash. Because it does need, like, recharge time, so we can't just spam it, but a roll jump is a perfect amount of time that you need to recharge it. Get a few items in that room, and now I'm going to head to the next area I want to go to in the game, while trying to just clear out the Cinder Chambers of all the collectibles that are in here that I skipped on my way down to the Arsonist fight. A lot of spike balls in this area are really scary. Since we're here kind of early in the run, even though we're going to get all the health upgrades in the game, we don't have too many of them yet. So there's a lot of things that can deal a decent chunk of damage in this area, and I do not want to die, because then I have to... I mean, I saved after the boss fight and stuff like that, but I don't want to backtrack more than I have to. So I'm playing it kind of safe with these spike balls, because they deal a ton of damage. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with them anymore. And we are going to go up here. And I'm very close to the next area I want to be at. I guess since I'm waiting to get to the next area, now would be the perfect time for a quick donation.
Joy, because we have quite a few. I have $10 from Shep that says, Laurie, go fast. $10 from Newt. Good luck to the wonderful people doing runs this weekend. $20 from Lady Linalia. Woo, one of my favorite speedrunning marathons returns. This goes to King's Quest V audio swap glitch, since I have fond memories of playing that game as a youngin'. Good luck on the runs, everyone.
All right, so a quick explanation here before we can get another donation. And I just used the Bachman patch there, and what it did was it hit this lever that's going to be about halfway down this elevator. You're not supposed to be able to get into the Whiteleaf Memorial Park from the Cinder Chambers entrance. However, because I got that item from beating Lubella deathless, or damageless rather, I was able to break in here and do things kind of out of sequence. You have time for one more quick one, and then I have another boss fight.
Alrighty, no problem. I have $50 from Seraph. Power Up Hype. Thanks so much to Varn, Hex, and the rest of the Power Up staff, team, volunteers, runners, and viewers.
Alright, so Lubella's back for round 2. With the pocket and sensory that we got from beating Arsonist without taking damage, all of our attacks have a fire effect to them that deals a bunch more damage. So I kind of just destroyed Lubella, as you might have seen. This is fortunately one of the only fights in the game that you do not need to get the damageless item from. So the fact that I took a hit in that fight doesn't matter. And now I'm Cat, which seems a little bit weird, but trust me, it makes sense. She basically cursed us upon death to turn us into a cat, which is, like, not really a curse, I know. Not only because you're a cat, but because the cat actually is smaller, so it has faster movement. The roll jumping with the cat is now going to be basically our fastest movement. However, you might be noticing another thing, and that is on top of just doing the roll jump dodge thing, I'm also doing a melee attack. This is because the cat's cooldown after a roll finishes is insanely long and unfun. So to counteract this, I am canceling it with an aerial melee attack, and that way I don't need to watch that full cooldown. There's not going to be too much going on here, but I'm probably going to want focus because I do not want to die of running out of health. But squeezing in donations is probably going to be fine. Just don't quote me on that if I die.
Oh, okay. I do have one more donation to read. I have another $80 from Lady Linalia. Actually, know what? I'm just gonna fund the entire King's Quest V incentive. I'm glad to know my money's going towards a good cause.
So, you know that thing I said not to quote me on? Please? Please. I'm died. So, what that means is we are... I don't know, I can talk about the cat more. So, when I got out of these sewer places finally, I got an item called the cat sphere, which just allows us to morph into the cat, between the cat and the cat and human form at will. So with that, I'm actually going to go into something pretty interesting, and that is the version of the game I'm playing on. If you were to download this game right now, which you can buy on like Steam or itch.io, I don't know if it's a part of that big bundle, but I do know it's on itch.io, and you can buy it there. You would probably be playing version 1.06. However, that's not the version that the run is being done on. It's actually being done on version 1.05b. And the reason for this is because it's the most up-to-date version, so it's the one that kind of runs the best and has the most up-to-date mechanics. However, one major difference is that in version 106, if you enter a cutscene as in cat form, the game will automatically unmorph you from being a cat, and you'll have to turn back into being a human for the cutscene. You'll then have to use the cat sphere again in order to turn back into a cat before you can continue your movement. In 105b, that's not the case. So while there is kind of a little funny glitch involving regaining health on boss fights, that doesn't come into play because I did not pick up a healing item, and I'm also not in easy mode. I do not have to keep using the cat sphere every cutscene, and it's just small time save that adds up in the run.
Laurie, I'm dying to know, can you pet the cat?
You cannot pet the cat.
Oh, no!
I am not the only cat in the game, so do not fear. There will be more. Also, if you like ladders, let me tell you, this must be your favorite part of the game. Too bad it's over. So, one thing you might have noticed is that I got a crest fragment from beating the arsonist. However, when I killed Lubella and she cursed me, I did not get a crest fragment. Because of this, I now need to go back to the opening area of the game, the Grove, not only to get the crest fragment that's there, but also just to clean up some collectibles I didn't get. One thing that you might notice is that some of the collectibles I'm about to get in the next 2 segments of the run don't necessarily require getting the cat, but because the cat has that faster movement speed and you have to backtrack for those items, for some of the items that you need, the route just opts to not get some collectibles until you have the cat, just so you can use the faster movement speed to your advantage more and just save a little bit more time on some of these collectibles. Like under this bridge. You can get this insanely early into the game, but I opted to wait for a while. So yeah, now we're back in the Grove, and honestly, we're gonna kind of get into one of my least favorite areas in the run. It's very difficult, and there's a room that nobody likes in it. But this is... You can read the dialogue of the location name. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. This room right here, though, is kind of notorious between several runners. Notably a runner named 4Cat, or Catnip, who hates this room. And I share that. I definitely agree that this room is horrible, as you can tell by the fact that I died. And there's a vitality fragment right at the end of the room. And it's kind of good to get that. If you're like perfect on your movement, you can make that cycle I'm trying to make where you get up on this platform right here before it goes too high for you to reach. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, but I was close. So I have the vitality fragment. Now I just need to get out of this section alive, which I did. And then I can do a little skip here. If I do my jumps well enough right here, I can skip this entire room, which has a bunch of moving platforms on it. It's just not cool. And then we get our second crest fragment. This is the crest fragment that allows me to warp between any bell in the game, or certain bells in the game, rather, not any bell, but a good few bells in the game. And there was that ivory bug I got right there after switching the area back to the Grove. I'd like to give a shout outs to Sneaky, who did a run of this game at, I believe it was AGDQ 19, and forgot about that bug. So shout outs there, because I still think about that. The Grove has some, on top of that crest fragment though, some cat exclusive collectibles. So I'm going to be cleaning up some stuff here. If we got another donation, we can probably fit it in now.
I currently don't have any donations, but I want to remind people that we are raising money for the Trevor Project, and if you want to find out a little bit more about them or to donate, use !charity, !donate in the chat, and Nightbot will lovingly tell you how to do that.
Thank you. We have incentives where you can put those donations towards as well, so.
Oh yeah, !incentives, check those out. These incentives are rad as heck.
Mm-hmm.
Super hype. We've already met one of them. We already met the King's Quest one, so let's keep the train going. Let's just keep meeting them.
Yes! I'm excited for King's Quest. I'd like to give a shout outs because I believe David is running that. David TKI, really good friend of mine. So shout outs there. I'm in the next area of the game now. This is the subterranean grave. It's basically our water level. There's not really much to water in this game. It's just like your movement is now slower. I'm not a fan of slower movement, personally. Fortunately, with the mid-air dash, water isn't that bad. This also brings up one of the big route differences between this game's any percent and 100% category. The intended way to get into the Whiteleaf Memorial Park, where I did the second fight with Lubella, is to get an item in this part of the game. And the any percent route does that. However, that ivory bug I just got right there requires cat form. And since the Grove is what gives you cat form, or not the Grove, but the Memorial Park is what gives you cat form, we kind of can't do this area before the Memorial Park unless we want to backtrack. Also, shout out to that jellyfish in that room. That jellyfish doesn't always appear. It's usually considered a sign of good luck. Of course, in any percent runs, you see that way earlier in the game, so you don't already know that you died like twice. Just don't worry about it. It's fine. There's the only vitality fragment in the subterranean grave. And I'm going to turn away from cat for a second just to shoot an arrow and climb a ladder. That's something I never mentioned, but there are still advantages to human form. It's the only form that still has a ranged attack, and it's the only form that can climb ladders. Which are two very important things. So here's the next boss. This is Derelict Frida. She sure is a boss. Thanks to all our items at this point, we just deal insane amounts of damage by just doing standard attacks. So it's not a very hard fight. Especially when I'm doing the safer strat here of attacking from a distance instead of going up close. And for beating her without taking any damage, we get the Sparse Thread, which is another really good attacking item. And then we can finally go to the Forlorn Monastery. The first area that we went to that led to Cinder, was Cinder Chambers, and we have to go here to get to Cinder Chambers for the first time, so this is kind of a funny thing to do last out of the 4 crest fragments we still need. Before I go around to doing the main quest, though, there is a Vitality fragment if I go up this direction. So I'm going to be getting that because the category. Also, for people that were saying in chat that that boss fight that I just did was fast, I implore you to stick around for another minute or two. No reason.
Stick around for the whole marathon. Just stay right here. Just don't move for like
Here's the cat room, by the way. I hope you like the cat room. Alright, I'm out of the cat room. Sorry, guys. So I got a key in there so I can go to the next boss fight. I'll take a second before the boss fight, though, to talk about a little thing called cat RNG. So there are 3 different colors of cats in that room. They can either be sitting down, sleeping, or walking around, and they can meow at random times. That combination of factors is what we call cat RNG. And as the saying goes, there's no such thing as bad cat RNG. But with that said, I'm going to prepare for the next boss fight by getting some collectibles right below it, as one does. And then I'm going to get into the boss fight and hopefully not mess it up. I'll take an extra save just to be safe. So I'm going to charge an arrow going into this fight, shoot it, use the sparse thread, roll back, just not press the right buttons at any point in that sequence, and I have to try the fight again. Okay. So, charge some arrows going into the fight, shoot them, sparse thread, roll back, Bachman patch. And that's how you cheese a boss fight. Never mind! This boss, even when you do that quick kill setup, kind of is notorious for breaking out of it randomly, and I don't know why. Someone probably knows why, but I don't, so I'm gonna call it random. I did it the right way that time. Alright. Fennel is a notably very good boss if you're playing this game any other way than speedrunning it. Unfortunately, though, in the speedrun, you just kind of cheese her. And with that, we have all 4 crest fragments. I can also talk about the item that we just got, Tainted Missive, because it doesn't seem that good in the at first. It takes a quarter of your max HP, and in return, it takes a quarter of your max HP, and in return, it doubles your attack temporarily. So it is a better attack boost than the Crystal Seed. However, it takes away your health. So if you use it in the middle of the boss fight, you can't get the damageless item. We can use it just before a boss fight, which I'm going to be doing at some points, and it will help with damage a lot. But until we do that, I have to go through this area, which is not fun. There's a lot of big damaging enemies in this area. However, with the amount of health I have, I should be able to take quite a few hits before death. So it allows me to relax a little bit. And speaking of me being able to relax, I know we did get a big donation.
Oh, yeah, we did. We have a $250 donation from Hupfin94 that just says cat.
Cat.
A $1 donation from Hex that says, I like ruining meme numbers, and also it seems like she likes ruining my life. Just kidding. I love you, Hex. $10 from He Who Is Pale, power up time, less than 3 this event. Thank you for the heart. We heart you too. Do we have some time to go over some upcoming donation incentives?
I'm going to explain one thing real quick.
No problem, take your time.
I'm going to pick up an item called the Sealed Wind. All right, you can talk about some incentives.
Cool, thank you. We have some upcoming donation incentives for the next few games, maybe like 3 or 4 in advance. We have one for Reverie, the costume selection between the default, the formal, and the Halloween. And must I say, they're all great outfits. I don't know how to choose between any of them. And then for DuckTales Remastered, we have a bid war for choosing the soundtrack between the 8-bit and the modern. So if you have any preferences, you just want to bid war it out, throw some money to a good cause, go ahead and check those out. Use ! incentives in the chat to just kind of glance through them, and use ! donate to donate for those incentives.
I know we have a lot of big NES fans in chat, but I'm sorry, the modern soundtrack. DuckTales. All right, now that I'm done giving away hot takes, let's fight a boss. Let's fight it wrong. How about we do that, and then I'll try and talk about how to fight it correctly. Okay. So we don't have a boss yet. I messed up that fight horribly. So that fight coming up is a 2-part fight, actually. There are going to be 2 bosses that attack us one by one. The first one is technically attacking us while we're fighting the first one, but they're not really going to be a problem if I do the strategy anywhere close to correctly. So I'm going to pull out a patch and use it before I enter the fight so that the boss immediately gets stunned by my attack, and I can throw out another one. I'm just messed up horribly. So I messed up again. I'm going to talk about why I keep messing this up. The fight is notably difficult because Lupiar, the first enemy that we have to fight in that fight, has a dodge roll, just like we do, and can just kind of roll out of the way of whatever she wants, including our items, which is real not cool because we can't kill her with melee attacks. Her armor makes her impervious, or other way around. We have to kill her with melee attack. Her armor makes her impervious to our bow. So I have to do that fight kind of close quarters, especially with the sparse thread as an item where you have to get close quarters. And it's a fight that can take a lot of tries. You can technically do without the boss item that this boss gives you, but I don't know. I'm just kind of alone in not being able to handle the last bosses in the run without this item, so I would really like to get it. Hopefully this time we'll do better. I am kind of notable for having some really stupidly crazy Loopiar fights in events that like absolutely should not have worked, and they did work. So I guess it's just kind of karma for all the marathons I've done of this game. But I mean, this has to happen at some point. This boss, everybody has just bad days with this boss. I'm trying to sound like it's a game problem and I'm not just bad. Trust me. Which both are true. Both could be true. Okay. So I did a lot of damage with the thingy there. So I now have actually an extra sparse thread for this part of the fight. Which means I can probably one-cycle this boss if I'm good enough. I'm not good enough, and I hit. What? Hello? It only happens at the beginning of the event, does it? The second phase there, I can talk about the second phase, though, since you guys finally saw it for a brief touch. That is Mongolia, the Huntress, and she fights really close range. So sometimes when she teleports, do a magic attack, like the one you saw there that hit me. And that's not fun. And that also makes me want to bring up some other things, though, that you might have seen. And that is me getting hit. The other thing is the arrow charge. So I didn't talk about the crest fragment abilities from Derelict Frida and Fennel. They both involve arrow charging. Frida's arrow charge thing involves giving us faster arrow charge speed, which means that it doesn't take as long for us to reach higher arrow charge levels. This changes the best form of DPS in the game from going to triple roll. Why? Okay. This changes the best DPS method in the game from just spamming arrows to charging to arrow level 2 before firing. The other thing, though, is Fennel gave us an upgrade to our arrow charge that gives us an extra arrow charge level. So there's now arrow charge level 4, which does a lot of arrows in very quick succession. It's not too useful because of how long it takes to charge, but there's some instances where fights will take long enough to where you just kind of have time in between phases to just wait and charge arrows. All right, I just played that as safe as I possibly could. We finally did it. Sorry about how long that took. It's fine. I got the heavy arrows for that. So the heavy arrows are an item that massively increase the amount of damage that our arrows deal. In fact, the damage increase is so good that it is now better for damage to equip it over a day as Pearl. So we're no longer going to have that poison effect on our arrows that we've had basically the whole game. Kind of sad to see it go, because it still is a good ability, but heavy arrows are just better. So now we're in the the true final area of the game, Karst Castle. It's pretty scary. There are a lot of enemies here, and a lot of spikes, which are insta-kill. That still hasn't changed. Despite the fact that I have almost every health upgrade in the game, the fact that spikes are insta-kill is still constant. Enemies also kill you if you touch them enough. I think that's a cool thing to know. So I'm dead. The CAD's pretty useful here, and there is a skip here, actually. I'll start talking about that now. It's essentially the same as what I did back in the Whiteleaf Memorial Park, where if I use the if I use the Bachman patch at a certain point, I can hit a lever earlier than intended, and it skips part of the castle. I do have to take a little bit of a detour on the intended route of the castle right there to get that ivory bug. But then once I'm right here, I can just throw out the patch. And the wall will start moving. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to warp away. This is because when I come back, the wall will be all the way away, so I won't have to watch the animation of the wall slowly moving to the right. And there's also one other thing. That item I picked up earlier and didn't explain, the sealed wind, I can use it on this windmill, and then go into the windmill and bathe my leaf in this tea. This will turn it from the maple leaf to a fresh spring leaf. This not only acts as a permanent leaf attack upgrade, but this is also the criteria to get this game's good ending. This game does have a bad ending and a good ending. And by the rules of speedrun.com, for any category, whatever it may be, the bad ending does not count for game completion. Because it doesn't. It doesn't play the credits, it doesn't let you do New Game Plus, all that stuff. So for the sake of the run, I need to be a human for this boss fight. For the sake of the run, every category is required to get the good ending. So coming up, that character right there is named Choir. I gave her the soft tissue, which I got just before Fennel, and this unlocks her as the game's optional boss fight. She's not too difficult with the strategy I'm going to use. My first use of the Tainted Missive came into play here, and with the Bachman patch as well once we get to phase 2. There we go. That is this game's optional boss. That went pretty well. We don't need the damageless item here, so I didn't really care about all that damage that I took. And now I can do basically my last item equip for the rest of the game. I don't really need any other items in my... I'm going to switch at like 1 point, but I'll point that out. We're now basically heading to the very end of the run. Hopefully I can still finish Underestimate. We will find out.
Does that mean I have some time to sneak in some donations?
I will mention real quick that right now, between now and the next save point, we're basically going to be getting the rest of the Vitality fragments. So I'm almost at max health now. So hopefully dying should happen less often, but like, you know me, it might not. With that being said, yes, donations aplenty.
Cool. $30 from Beepner with no comment, but thank you very, very much for your donation. $3 from Cobalt. Very excited for Hyperlight Drifter. Good luck on the runs, Laurie.
Shout out to Cobalt.
$25 from Garby215. Looking forward to watching a lot of wonderful runs for a wonderful cause. Definitely just want to plug those incentives again. Check them out. Mark incentives in the chat, and Blessed Nightbot will bestow those upon you and be like, oh, incentive.
I'm going the wrong way. So coming up, we're going to have the last save point before the final boss. The final boss isn't coming up. That phrasing wasn't perfect. So I just hit that save point right there. The next save point is going to be the final boss's save point. So I have to do the rest of the run from now until the final boss in 1 health bar, which can be scary. I now have a max out health bar, which is cool, but who knows if I can even use that. The 90% run of this game gets no health bar upgrades at all, so you can imagine that I die a lot in that category. And I kind of do prefer this category. So this is Clone Angel, or Clone, I don't know what she is anymore. But I beat her in 1 cycle. If you use the Tainted Missive, you can use 2 Spark Threads and then 2 melee hits, and you can 1 cycle the boss. The other thing to that boss is telling which one is the real and the fake one, which I get to explain, because guess what I did? So in that fight, as you saw at the beginning, there were 2 angels that spawn, a real one and a fake one. If you hit the fake one, it rains fish from the ceiling, and I can't tell you why. But if you hit the real one, you can deal damage to it. There's a funny little side effect. Usually you're supposed to wait for the angel to attack, and that's how you can tell which one is the real one. However, there's a funny little unintended thing where the real angel actually has a lower flying height than the fake ones. And as you get further in the fight, there are supposed to be multiple fake angels, but when you one cycle, there's just one fake and one real. And also a lot of projectiles on screen. A whole bunch of them. And because of that, it's really easy to die, but it's also really easy to tell which one is the real one before they get an attack out, which makes the fight just super quick. And yeah. I'm gonna throw out a phrase and say that this has never happened before. Not dying in the final area, that definitely has happened before, but the magnitude of death that has happened in that final room right there is kind of boggling me. I don't know what's happening when it comes to that room, because that room is usually a lot more tame than it is being. There is a strat that you can do in that room where you kind of go around and you do a damage boost, where you're in the room for a less amount of time, so it theoretically is like a better strat, but it doesn't let you get that ivory bug near the spikes. That's why I was kind of crouching near the spikes there the past 2 times I died, is because there's an ivory bug there, and it's also the last one in the run. So I now have all the collectibles, I just need to finish the game at this point. I'm on an elevator. This elevator is really annoying, and then we're gonna fight the final boss. So yeah, I have all the health fragments now, I have all the ivory bugs, and I did fight the optional boss Choir, so I finished the category requirements. Now I just need to finish the game. Coming up right here, I'm going to switch back to human form, and we are going to get started in the queen fight. The immediate strat here is charge arrows, fire them, melee combo, roll, and then just start my level 2 charge spam for as much as I can until they reappear, do the same thing until the fight ends. I'm going to count to 4 here. I already messed it up quite a bit, but I want to get a full arrow charge off right there. Hopefully before the sparse threat, or not the sparse threat, but the Tainted Missive ends. It didn't, unfortunately. I do as much damage as I can here with arrows. I can sneak in a few hits with the cat melee attack if I want. I decided to do it there because it's fun. And then I just try and finish this fight to the best of my ability. I need to do a safe strat here, because I do not have enough health to use the Tainted Missive. If I were to use the Tainted Missive right here, I would die, because I have less than a quarter of my max health. So as a backup strat, I'm going to use a Crystal Seed instead for the final phase of the fight. I accidentally used this item because I have a trigger finger, apparently. I might die, but if I don't, time is when the boss dies. I died, okay. That is... Alright, so... I really like showcasing when I do marathon runs, and I'm really glad that I got to show off a bunch of inches of this game, good and bad. Apparently, I just really wanted to show off how not to do this fight, and this time I'm going to show off exactly how you want to do the fight. I'm going to do it perfect this time. That's the plan, right? So since I got a lot more damage off since my sparse thread was active, or not my sparse thread, but my Tainted Missive was active for longer there, you can see just how much quicker I take out that phase of the fight when I'm able to do the fight fast enough. And with that, we get into the final phase. So the flashlight happens, I use the Tainted Missive, count to 2, use the thread and the fairy, or use the patches and the fairy. I do 3 melee combos while charging to level 4 arrow charge, and time. That's how you do a fight properly. Yeah, that didn't go well. It was still fun, though. I'd like to give a big shout-outs to the community of this game for being a very uplifting group of people in, like, the 2 years I've run it. I think everybody I wanted to shout out individually, I did. I can't think of anyone in particular. But extra shout-outs to everybody who showed up. I saw a lot of community members in chat. I don't want to stay too long because I did kind of go over estimate. But I do have another game to run, so hopefully that one won't go over estimate. And I think with that being said, I'm ready to swap over. So we'll see you guys in a few minutes, I guess.